Our Trip Out East by Luz Nuncio Schick. In the summer of 1959, I was 4 years old. My family took a trip to the East Coast. We lived in Chicago at that time. I remember this trip well. It was one of the happiest times for my family. When I look at photographs from the trip, I can hear Mammy and Pappy speaking to us in gentle, loving Spanish. This is a photo of my sisters and me posing for the camera. The people in our family were my parents, Pappy and Mammy, my sisters Pela, Goli, Christy, and me, Chiquas. Abuelita, Grandma, was visiting from Monterrey, Mexico. She came on the trip with us. Abuelita was Mammy's mom. I think that the trip was so happy because Abuelita came with us. Ever since we left Mexico in 1956, Mammy had missed our homeland, but she missed Abuelita more than anything else. She would always send postcards of Chicago, inviting my grandmother to visit us. Mammy also sent photographs like the one above. She wanted Abuelita to see my 3 sisters and me. Abuelita had never seen the baby of the family, Christy, who was born in Chicago. In this photograph, we are downtown by Lake Michigan. We liked to go there and watch the sailboats go by. When the sun went down, we would watch the buildings of the Chicago skyline light up. Soon after Abuelita came, we started on our trip. We went because Pappy had a job waiting for him in Flemington, New Jersey. The job would be only for a few months, but Pappy was very excited about it. Pappy loved to see different places. We went by car, in a sky-blue 1953 Savoy station wagon. Our station wagon was not very comfortable compared to cars today. The seats were hard, and it had no air conditioning. But to us, our station wagon was wonderful. It took us from Chicago, Illinois, to Flemington, New Jersey. It never broke down. It carried us inside the car. It carried our many suitcases outside, tied on the roof. It had big round headlights that looked like eyes, and it was a soft pale blue, like the summer sky. I can still remember where Goli and I rode in the station wagon. It was just a big flat space in the very back. Mammy put down a blanket for us. Goli and I sat there, cross-legged, watching the road behind us for hours. When we got sleepy, we would lie down. We heard the sound of the tires on the road. The low, steady hum put us to sleep, like a lullaby. When we got to Flemington, Pappy found a place for us to live. We rented part of a farmhouse. The owners lived in the other part. The owners were nice. Somehow we understood them, even though they only spoke English and we only spoke Spanish. One day, walking through the farm fields, we found a place where chamomile grew. This was very good, because Mammy used it for making chamomile tea. We filled our fists with the tiny daisy-like flowers for Mammy. When we opened our hands, they smelled sweet, like apples. One time, under a tree, we found the shell of a robin's egg. We were amazed that an egg could be so blue and so small. We also saw animals we had never seen in Chicago. Deer and rabbits jumped out of the fields before our eyes. Pappy took us to see New York City one day. Mammy and Pappy love Central Park and the horse-drawn carriages taking people around. Then we went for a walk around the city. The buildings were taller and more crowded together than in Chicago. I remember looking up and up at the towering skyscrapers until I felt dizzy. We had a wonderful day in New York City. We left Flemington when Pappy's job ended and went back to Chicago. Abuelita stayed with us for a while. Then she had to go back to Mexico. We went to Union Station to put Abuelita on the train to Mexico. The train rumbled and hissed as passengers got on. Mammy and Abuelita held each other for a long time. They both cried. Then Abuelita hugged each of us tightly, one last time, and got on the train. This was the last time we saw Abuelita. She died 3 years later. After that trip out east, we took many others. Pappy's job took us to Carlisle, Pennsylvania for a while, and to Puerto Rico for 2 years. Pappy made sure we saw other great American cities, like Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. But our trip to the east was the happiest one we ever took. Even now, looking at the photographs makes me happy. I have Abuelita, Mammy, and Pappy again. They are speaking to me in soft, tender Spanish, standing just a few steps from me, and I feel their love. Talk about it. 1. Why did Mammy want Abuelita to visit her in Chicago? 2. Why was the trip out east such a happy time for the family? Write about it. 3. Pick a place that is described in this story. On a separate sheet of paper, write about what the family did there. Extend language. Some words in English sound like the noise they name. The word hissed in the next sentence sounds like a noise the train makes. The train rumbled and hissed as passengers got on. What is the English word for the sound a camera makes when it takes a photograph?